this shit going.
Just wanted to see if it worked. Hold on. Nope, that one's not doing anything. Does this do anything? Fireworks? Nope. Ooh, that one's confetti. What was the fireworks one? Three, two, one. I don't know. Okay. All right, let's jump in. We have episode 70 that we are doing right now. Thank you so much for tuning in to our 70th episode. We're going to be talking about breeding. We haven't done like a breeding episode in a while, but besides breeding, we're going to be talking about giving your females a break and kind of just going into that whole discussion about it. But yeah, before we jump into that, Patreon members, thank you so much. Hope all of you had a great Thanksgiving, as well as the rest of our listeners. Hope you guys all had a great Thanksgiving. And we weren't able to do 2 weeks in a row a Zoom call, so we'll be catching up actually on the release of this episode. And so if you guys want to go ahead and join our Patreon, it's going to be that link that's down below, patreon.com/TheReticLounge. And yeah, I think that I am done talking. Nathan, what's going on, dude?
Not much. I think in terms of a breeding episode, this is going to be a fun one that just isn't talked about. I did a little bit of research just trying to find other, bits of content on YouTube about how to stop cycling an animal, and I just really wasn't coming across much. So I think this will be a cool topic to just kind of bring up through the community.
Is that because your female right now is cycling and you don't want her to?
No.
Or just kind of like going in the rabbit hole of just...
Within the last month, I started feeding for breeding with my animals, and I'm really only trying to breed one this year. So yeah, I haven't really started this process, or I guess I just started this process of not cycling the female that I'm not cycling this year.
Yeah, I guess in your thoughts, like off the top of your head, and I'll add if there's anything that you don't bring in, I have to think about it for a second, but like, why would you want to not cycle a female that is primed and like good to breed?
Well, I mean, just first thought for me is just it's a lot of energy that gets put into breeding. So if you do choose to cycle that animal and it does successfully breed and cycle, give you eggs and everything, that's a lot of energy that animal puts out. And if you keep putting that animal through that year after year, I believe that would shorten the animal's life.
Yeah. And I know this is already off the topic of retics, but it doesn't matter. Nathan has already validated for like this for me before. So, but green tree pythons, they have a much shorter, as far as me talking about green tree pythons, but what I have learned recently about green tree pythons is they have a much shorter lifespan than other snakes that we would think about, right? Like there was a ball python that laid eggs at like 169 years old. I don't know the exact number. Obviously it's not 100, but ball pythons can live 30 plus years. Retics, if kept well, which is few far between, can live 20 plus years.
I'm sure there's individuals that have lived past 30.
Yeah, but it's green tree pythons. It's kind of this, like I keep hearing in different podcasts that I'm listening to right now, that 15 years or so, and I'm wondering how much of that has to do with breeding, because breeding takes a massive toll on these animals, and I know that a lot of people will give their females 1, 2, 3 years off to like lengthen their length of time that they're alive. I'm not good with words today, but that's
to increase their lifespan.
Yeah, there you go. That sounded much better. That was sexy.
Yeah, I'm just helping the psychologist here. Don't worry.
Right. So yeah, I think that might have a big thing to do with them, but definitely with retics. And whether you're just getting into retics or you've been breeding for years, the first place you want to visit is Stewart Design. More and more breeders keep showing up at shows, on Morph Market, and are all over social media. Sometimes it may feel impossible to get anyone's attention. Stewart Designs helps small businesses like yours do big things through brand clarity, helping entrepreneurs to start and scale businesses that are easy to know and love. Their work can help any company or industry, but they've done a ton of work for ours. Stewart Design created the brands for USARK, Canova, Reach Out Reptiles, Coiled, and dozens of other well known reptile breeders. Like many of us, the owner of Stewart Design, Blake, is a keeper and breeder who fell in love with retics through first working with Garrett Hartle. Although Stewart Design does a lot of corporate work, Blake has a passion for working with people in the reptile industry. Stewart Design can help if you're just getting started or you're ready to take things to the next level. You're struggling to stand out and build your presence online or at shows. You don't want to be like the other guys or get lost in the crowd, and you want to make your own way doing what you love. And also, you have big ideas and know your business is special, but you need help sharing it with the reptile community. If something here resonates with you, reach out to Blake and have a conversation. To learn more or get started, visit stewartdesignbrands.com or call them at 855 SD Logos. Clear brands own markets. Stewart Design helps create them. If you are in the market for an enclosure for your reticulated python or any other one of your reptiles, Focus Cubed Habitats is your one-stop shop for not only the best looking cages on the market, but also provide amazing features and add-ons to your cages. We partnered with Focus Cubed Habitats because they continue to innovate and change the way we house our animals unlike any other caging company out there. Their cages are designed intelligently and provide the most stylish and secure housing for your animals' comfort and well-being. Visit focuscubedhabitats.com for your animals' caging needs. Again, visit focuscubedhabitats.com for some amazing and stylish enclosures.
We also want to thank VivTech Products for being an affiliate sponsor of the TheReticLounge. Stop by VivTech Products for the best UV spectrum lighting on the market that will enhance and improve your snake's overall well-being and health. Visit VivTechProducts.com and use the code ReticLounge23 today for 15% off. Again, visit VivTechProducts.com and use our affiliate code ReticLounge23 today for 15% off. Looking for the perfect accessories for your hatchlings or juvenile retics? Look no further than HeliGuy Serpents. Our sponsor, Chris Sexton, is coming in hot with an amazing 3D printer, creating top-notch perches and other caging accessories for your beloved pets. Enrich your retics environment with their high-quality products. Use our promo code TRL10 for a 10% discount on your purchase. Visit them today at HeliGuySerpents.com and start giving your pets the best. HeliGuy Serpents, the premier source for 3D printed caging accessories. Again, that's www.heliguyserpents.com and use our promo code TRL10 for 10% off all of your 3D printed accessories today.
I almost wonder why we don't have a lot of the wild caughts that we have in the country that we brought in anymore. And I'm wondering if anything of that has to do with like overbreeding or, trying too many times. And, okay. So you mentioned,
you just asked why would I consider not breeding?
Any other reasons? So that to me was like for the benefit of their health, letting them
benefit
rest.
of their health, and then does that animal need to be bred? Do you need to be producing animals through that animal, or can you just have that animal in your collection?
Right. Yeah, and I also think that I don't know, the market right now, not a lot of people are breeding retics.
That's kind of part of it, obviously.
Right. Should I breed a female this year, even though she's going through the motions? And do I need to make more phantoms? Do I need to make more tigers? Do I need to make more things that a lot of people are already making? And so those are also other good reasons that you would want to give your female a rest. But I think first and foremost, like you mentioned, was their health, right?
Yeah, that's the biggest thing for me. It's I want to see my animals. I've said this so many times throughout the history of this podcast, but
Say it
just
for the people in the back.
yeah, I just want to see my animals reach that 20-year mark. Like that would be one of my biggest accomplishments for sure. Like the founding animals that know are going nowhere. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
I need to see those animals through a good, long, healthy life.
Yeah. You want to know what I think contributes to another long, healthy life when we're talking about breeding? Is prolonging that time that it takes for them to have their first clutch.
Yeah.
Like
Not
kind of
pushing it right at the
not
4-year mark.
yeah, not pushing it at the 4-year mark, but like not even
The
like
animal
doing
I'm
a
trying to
food
breed this year, let's see, is either 6 or 7.
right. And she hasn't had a clutch?
No.
Oh, that's beautiful. I think you're gonna. So let me kind of.
I haven't tried to push her super, super hard for breeding. Like she's my biggest animal, and it's gonna take a lot of calories for her to go, but
Yeah,
I'm ready for her this year. It's gonna be fun.
yeah. So I have a F1 Solaire who just laid her third clutch for me, and she is 13 years old. Um, now I feel in most breeding standpoints, a 13-year-old female typically has probably had like 5 or more clutches at that point. In a breeder's hands. And I talked to the Mystic Reptiles, Chris over in Florida. I talked to him about how he bred and cycled his females. And he said he never did food cycling, and he would just allow them to breed whenever they went off of food and they went through the motions that he knew. And she decided to breed her first time at 7. And so when I got her, I was thinking in my mind, I was like, she's never been pushed hard with food, which means that, there's some people that say, and I don't know if there's research behind this, but when you feed a lot of big meals and you push them and you force feed, right? Or not force feed, you power feed.
Yeah. Not even. Yeah. I mean, you're just increasing the amount of calories they're taking in within a shorter period of time.
Yeah. And I've heard that it can increase organ size, and that could become problematic when you feed them a lot of food really young. It can, their heart or their stomach or lungs might grow too big too quick. So I was like, okay, that's really cool. And then she had her second clutch 3 years after. Both of them perfect clutches. And so like he didn't try to cycle her, didn't try to feed her heavy to cycle her. She just naturally gave him a clutch 3 years later. And then I got her, and when she's now 13 years old, so again, did you hear my cat? I saw your face.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let her in here in a second.
No, that's fine.
But yeah, so she had her third clutch on shut up, Stella. She had her third clutch on year 13, so she's laying a clutch every 3 years, and she's a extremely healthy, not obese. She has so much vigor. She's strong as hell. She hates me some days. She loves me others. But yeah, so I think that there's something like important as well when it comes to like the time of like just like maybe it's actually a good thing if we don't try to. And I've done this, right? Like I did it with my Coyote. I food cycle for the most part. I'll do some temperature dropping, but I food cycle.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that kind of in steps here. So let's start with food cycling. So if we're trying not to cycle our females, what are we gonna do in terms of food?
Dude, my wild caught Kalatoa laid 4 clutches in a row. Her first clutch was not with me. It was a shit clutch. None of the babies survived. Second clutch was with me. Pretty sure it was a Partho clutch. I only have one baby that survived, and I have it, and it's not a breedable female. And then her third clutch I paired with the wild caught, and that was a good clutch. So that was 4 total clutches in a row that she had, and I tried
year after year,
and I tried giving her the last year off. Now, I had some mentors tell me if you force her to have a year off, she's going to retain those follicles and likely won't be a good breeder after this, and she'll get egg bound the next year. And I just asked that what evidence do you have for that? And experience. Anytime I by the way, I'm saying this in like an asshole voice because it was the person that I bought the wild caught from, so connect the dots. And they were like, yeah, no, if they want to breed, you breed them, because if you don't, they'll end up dying their next clutch. And I was like, yeah, that sounds like a really like breeder heavy mentality. So last year when she had her Partho clutch, I tried to not breed her by reducing her calories, and she still bred. So this year I finally got her to skip a year. Do you want to know what it took? This is a 9.5, 10-foot, 13-year-old Kalatoa, who I got obese and had to like slim down on a diet to get her like leaner. And she hated me during that stage because she was always like just fed heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And so imagine like me doing that and she hated me. But this year, I was feeding her only one jumbo rat, 9.5, 10-foot retic, probably 10-foot to be honest, 10-foot retic, one jumbo rat, not even leaving a lump in her, once a month for like 3 months.
Yeah.
That's what it took to get this stubborn female to not cycle.
Yeah. That's that's what I've been doing with my purple albino. But my second year I was trying to breed her but wasn't successful. The male wasn't ready. And she went through the motions. So like I've had experience with that, but I mean this year I'm hoping I can keep her from even developing those follicles and going off food. So we'll see how that goes. But I mean, I've had her go a year between clutches and still lay a decent clutch.
I had a my Coyote this year. I was trying to breed her to my ocelot, and so I've heard people talk about incompatibility. I don't know how true that is or not, because I feel like in the wild,
Like the penguin thing, like it's just not the right rock.
right, exactly, right. And so there are some people in the school of thought that a male and female could not be compatible and they won't breed for whatever reason. There are other people that are like, no, that's like totally against nature. Like it's survival, and in the wild, if a female that's wanting to breed comes across a male, the female's not going to be like, meh, we're not compatible, right? So I don't know. I don't know which way that leans, but
There's a lot of evidence that could show that, with other species of animals that it could be a potential.
yeah, right. But I mean, those are like mammals that we can think about, right?
Yeah, for the most part,
A little
birds.
a little higher. Well, yeah, and I guess evolutionary wise, reptiles come from birds, so that's right, right? Like I feel like dinosaurs evolved to birds, or birds to dinosaurs, and then reptiles, and I don't know. I'm not caught up with my kid science.
I almost just made a really shitty comment. I'm glad I held my tongue.
There you
I'll
go.
tell you after.
We'll leave the ball rolling for Patreon if they want to listen to that comment off screen too. But yeah. So, but anyways, I put my ocelot in with my female Coyote, who I cycled, and she went off of food for 2 months, and this male ocelot did nothing. Which is odd because he was a proven breeder at 12 months old.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was 12 months old. He was locking. He became a father. This is a very young grown man at this stage, right? And he decided to like not do anything. And I think she just was wanting to take the year off herself. But I saw her blow up. I saw her go through the motions. I never saw a lock. I saw them only cuddling once. And I food cycled her. So she was kind of a little chunky. And because, I food cycled her for about like a month and a half, they never locked. And so I got to witness for the first time, like reabsorption. And again, some
Yeah.
people in the retic world believe that retics don't reabsorb their follicles; they grow and then they go back down. Some people say reabsorption, but I think we can all agree on
Well,
the term.
wouldn't you feel them year round then? Like, would that mean they have a predetermined amount of follicles that they can produce
Is that
from?
true?
I don't know, because I've had different clutch sizes from the same female.
Yeah, but do all the follicles swell?
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Like I don't know. It's really
I
weird
don't know.
science.
I don't know enough about snake anatomy. So.
Me either. We need to get a vet on. Dr. Coke, what's up?
Come back. We have more
Right,
questions.
we have more questions. But so in my mind, what I'm thinking about like this reabsorption stage is that they go through the motions and the follicles swell, and then eventually they just go back to their smaller state. They never shut off.
Yeah.
And so I think they just go down. So maybe if females reabsorb, is that next one going to be shitty because they already blew up and now they're just like sitting there? Or is that how snake anatomy works? I don't know.
It sits for a whole year during digestion and everything like that. Like, I just don't know.
I don't know.
Like,
either.
I've had a snake go off food, show all the signs of follicle growth, and then, that male not breed. And
Yeah.
from what I observed, I called it absorption.
Right. And that's what I'm going with. And I've heard other people go with. And by the way, this is a great time for us to remind our listeners. We haven't done this in a while. We're not experts. We're not. We're
too long. We've been playing this off, guys. Still not experts.
Still not experts. Just because you have a podcast for a year, you're not an expert.
No.
Yeah. So we're not experts. We try to grow with you guys. There is someone, and I could pull up their. Actually, I'm not going to do that. But there's someone on YouTube that comments on our videos. These super long, well detailed, thought out comments that I love. Maybe if he's listening, he'll tell us the scoop, the 101 on what's happening with follicular swelling and or not. But anyways,
he's gonna earn himself an episode one of these days.
He is. But my female, so she went through the motion. She got thick on the lower half, but I guess she decided to take the year off. She's like, nope. I guess she wasn't giving off enough pheromones for the male to want to court and lock with her. I don't know. My slot might be broken because he's not locking with any of my females this year.
He's taking the year off. He's
right.
Done.
He's taking the year off. Ooh, maybe we'll touch on that later.
Yeah, we can. I feel like that'll be a quick one we can touch on.
Let's table that one.
in terms of just calorie intake, I'm just trying to feed almost as normal as I would throughout the year before I start doing my heavier increased meal sizes and frequency with the animals for breeding. So I'm keeping it more like that, and then even offering smaller prey items to the purple this year, just in between.
Yeah. I guess like when it comes to like letting your retics, your females, like have a vacation and like kind of not breed. I tend to think that like, I don't know. I truly think that like one of the biggest reasons we don't see older animals out there is because they're overbred.
There's a variety of factors, but
obesity too, but
obesity,
I mean,
and
but
then
why
changing hands.
Why does obesity happen? It happens because we're power feeding to get them to breed, and they're not in big enclosures. They're stuffed in 8-foot enclosures, and it's a 16-foot animal.
Yeah.
So it's hand in hand. Like we want them to breed and be prolific in breeding and reproduce clutches, and then if they decide not to breed themselves, they get the year off. But like, yeah, and I mean I know that's an overgeneralization. There's plenty of great breeders out there that care about letting their females cycle, but or cycle off for a year. But what would you say is like your ideal like ratio to? Geez, my lights are gonna give me a seizure.
I think
warning.
they were doing that a little bit last episode too.
They were. Hold on. All right, we'll see if that works.
Yeah, that certainly seemed to help.
You ever take out the Nintendo 64 cartridges and blow on them? I feel like that was the equivalent, or like a 1980s TV or 90s where you just smack it upside
The
the.
best part was the entire time you were abusing the thing, like it was off, and then after you stopped hitting it, it turned on.
we'll, we'll see if that helps. So far, so good.
So far, so good.
Um,
Where were we?
we were talking. So, what do you think is the right ratio for years
Oh yeah,
on,
yeah,
years
yeah.
off?
That's a great point to bring up. In my mind, I would like to do 2 on, 1 off. So technically, I could run the purple again this year, seeing as she already had a year off the year before. But I have some other stuff that I want to do, and I don't need to breed her. Like I'm not trying to run a business that's you know solely retics right now.
That's dependent on these animals for you to receive income, right?
I know how much time and energy it goes into one clutch, and I that's what I'd like to stick to this year. I might do 2 clutches next year, but we'll see where everything's at, where I'm at, and go from there.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, to be honest, like my Kayuati taking the year off herself was a blessing in disguise because she would have probably popped
A
about
blessing
30.
in the skies.
A blessing in disguise. Did I say a blessing?
It's just me. Sorry.
Just that's okay. I thought I stumbled my words.
It's
I was like, I
something
swear I've only had one glass of wine.
something from another podcast. Sorry.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
But blessing in disguise because she would have probably laid her second year probably 30 eggs. And in this
Yeah.
market, like, who's gonna buy Kayuati head ocelots right now at the price that they would go for?
Can I ask you a personal question
About snakes?
about your garage?
Yeah.
How many hatchling rack spaces do you have right now?
Available?
Open. Yeah.
After this week, I'm going to have. Hold on.
A lot or a little to start?
A lot.
Okay, good.
I would say I'd have half my rack, a little bit more than half my rack available. So that would be like 30. I probably have 35 spaces open.
Okay, so that sustains them for, you know, 9 months or so.
A year.
It.
Mine are the long FB10. So for
Yeah.
Superdorf and Dorf stuff, it's about a year.
Okay.
But
So
I do need to get a 40 tub.
yeah, an FB40 or something.
Yeah, for just animals that take longer to sell or grow ups or things like that. That obviously where the economy sucks right now. So I still have animals that I didn't intend to have this long, but I'm okay with having them.
Yeah, it's just those kind of considerations. Like,
Right.
I I definitely could push her to breed, but I don't need to.
Oh, you're asking me for you asking me for consignment?
No.
Question?
Oh no,
okay. I
no,
thought you were asking me for that.
no.
Okay. Because I was gonna have to politely say no. I got my busiest season this year because a lot of what I want to breed this year is like personal passion projects, and then I'm getting rid of like 99% of my morph stuff, which this is the first time that I've said that publicly, or at least on here. So
Are you sure? I think you may have said it during the Thanksgiving episode.
maybe? Oh yeah, we talked about it last week. Okay, but back to females having vacations. Did you like the thumbnail?
I thought it was fine. Yeah.
Yeah, it was cute. It's funny.
Yeah. I was
Yeah.
I was confused. I thought that was a trick question. Yeah,
No,
I
it was
liked
cute.
it. Yeah, the snake and sunglasses. I like it.
Yeah, but anyways, I was saying that it goes back to longevity and these animals not being around. Oh, we were talking about market. I don't know where we are.
Well, I was, I kind of threw you off with that rat question. I was mostly saying, those are things I think about. Like, if the economy is like it is right now next year, I have to consider keeping these animals for the better part of a year before everything moves out. So, you know, having, considerate accommodations for all the animals here is, a pretty big priority, and not just stuffing them in small containers.
I lied. I have 42 empty hatchlings upstairs that I typically do for my consignment stuff where I quarantine up there. But because I'm not taking any consignments at all this season, I'm going to be bringing it into the garage.
Okay.
Yeah, upstairs I have 42 tubs. That
Yeah,
are wide
I
open.
was mostly thinking you were running out of hatchling room space, so it was nice to not have that big clutch that you were avoiding.
Well, I'm just saying, like, that's the available room I have. Do I want to fill them all up? Hell no. Um,
Yeah.
so I have 35 in my ARS 10 rack, and then I have 42 upstairs.
Okay.
But those 42 upstairs, those are for like high percentage or pure super dwarf. Like they're the 6 core tubs.
Oh, those are tiny.
Yeah, I mean, I only like to keep animals in there for pure super dwarf stuff for like 6 months max.
Yeah.
Um, but that's going to end up being the neo rack for the green tree pythons if I'm ever lucky enough to breed them.
That would be a lucky endeavor. So I feel like we're pretty good on the feeding aspect of it. I feel like the second and probably the other biggest one to consider would be just temperature.
Oh, like how to get them to not cycle?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, definitely you want to try your best to not let the temperatures
Drop.
drop, right? Like I keep ambient, and I am intentionally right now during the cooler months. I either have my heater on the mini split very low, or I have it off, and I'm letting my garage dip down to 78, 77 degrees. Um, and that's again with no hot spots on any of my enclosures, so they're getting that cold. Um, but yeah, I mean that's one way to definitely do it. Now, in my opinion, though, I still think that they feel it outside. I don't know why. Like that, if you ask me to
I
explain that
I
why, I
would say
can't
it's
tell you.
I think one good theory is a barometric pressure.
Yeah, but that's like a storm thing, right? That's like they can definitely tell during the rainy season and stuff when the barometric pressure fluctuates and everything. But like, I, my snakes are against like the walls and stuff, and some of my walls are exterior walls. And although the ambient temperature in my place might be warm, I feel like the walls are still a little cooler. I don't know why. I still feel like they can tell when it's different outside. It's a stomach thing. I have no rational explanation. Don't ask me questions. This is all I know.
It's possible. I think I experience a temperature drop no matter how hard I try,
Right.
with just where I'm at and how cold it gets. And then also the space I'm living in. It's a little bit of an older space. I think it was built in like the 60s or 70s. But I mean, like I have to insulate my windows in here.
You're looking up at the ceiling
No,
like there's a
I'm looking
label
at
that
the I'm
says
looking
established in
no, I'm looking at that
1968.
I'm looking at the thin windows next to
Oh,
me, seeing what era I think they're from.
right. You know how you can tell is you different rock sizes
No,
if you
you know
throw
how you
them in.
can tell you could go on Zillow, and I'm just too lazy right now.
Oh, okay. That's the smart way too. I was just saying you could take a different size pebbles and see how small it takes to break it. But yeah, no, I mean that's one way, and I feel like it's a little bit more manageable with a gradient setup like you have.
Oh yeah, just running on heat tape and everything, heat tape and heat panels.
Or panels, yeah. I feel like
Yeah.
it's a little bit more controllable that way.
Yeah, definitely. I can control the environment. The other thing I do in the winter, I mean, yeah, I am trying to keep one of my main females from breeding this year, but I am trying to cycle the other. Is I'll just keep the ambient heat like I usually keep it about 72 in here. So not quite 77 like you do, but not letting it drop to the temperature it could
60s.
get if it was just insulated windows in here.
Yeah, like when I was trying to cycle when I had them on gradient, I would allow like my house to get to 69, but I'd still have their hotspot on.
Hey,
Eh,
that was last episode.
exactly, right? That's what we're referencing. So I'd let my house get to 69 and um you're stupid.
Always.
Um and but like if I still had a gradient setup and I did not want them to cycle or I wasn't trying to breed any, I would bring an additional heat source like an oil filled radiant heater, and I would just keep that room temperature at 76.
That's the best way for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just use a little desk heater
Yeah.
because my room is tiny.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. Like I feel like it's something that we should be considering more. Like not cycling females just because we can. Like I feel like I see a lot of new breeders right now. Like a lot of new people that are very excited, rightfully so. And I feel bad for a lot of new breeders. Like I have a buddy of mine, I'm not gonna mention his name, but he's a great dude. He's gotten some animals from me. And he tried breeding last year. Man, had he had hit on this last year, it would have been great for him, I think. But he's trying to repeat it this year, and he has a female that's gravid. And what it's going to end up resulting in is 62.5% platinum snows. Platinum golden child snows, I think, actually. 62.5% Superdorf snows. And he's a first-time breeder in this market and economy. That those are animals that are running 4,500 minimum for a visual snow. And so we've talked.
It's kind of what I'm shooting for this year.
But this year breeding means that they're hatching.
There's some more stuff behind it.
But I feel like it's one of those things where like, you know, for new people that are coming up and you're not new, like your name is out there. That's like me trying to,
That's
you know,
like, damn, Lucas.
no, I'm just saying like it's a little different for, you know, I'm not going to tell Eric Lee to not breed this year because the economy's bad. Like everybody knows Eric Lee's name. They're going to buy his animals. You haven't had a hard time selling your clutch. You sold 75% of your clutch in the first 4 months. That's phenomenal in this economy. I don't know if you're aware of that, so kudos to you. You did a great job getting rid of some of those animals. But for someone that doesn't have like the name established and you're producing like high-end animals or just anybody who's new, like maybe consider like letting your female develop a little bit more. And it's a bad time to be breeding retics.
Yeah, it's not great. I mean,
If your purpose is to make money.
there'll be another time where people are making money with retics again. Like that's not the issue. Like ultimately, like if you're patient enough and have those iron hands, if
Right.
you truly want to make some money with retics one day, I'm sure you can achieve that goal. But
They
yeah,
got surgeon hands. They don't move. Look at them. They're frozen.
that's actually pretty good from what I could tell. But I don't know. You're just a tiny little box.
Right. See, for me, I felt like they were doing this, and I was trying to keep them still. But and I'm not saying like if you're new, don't breed, but just realize that the market kind of sucks right now. It's going to turn around at some point, but it sucks right now.
Well, and when we've always talked about breeding, like try to push the industry forward a little bit with what you're pairing up to. Don't just
Right.
produce to produce.
Yeah, and like my buddy, like that's a great clutch, like 62.5% cow toe. I think 6.25%.
I would love to know the exact, like, specifics, male, female, that whole thing.
Oh, me too. But they're both Eric Lee produced animals
Okay.
from the parents, so it's legit. It's good.
No. Yeah, I'm just curious how the percentages work out, like what's being paired to what, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I could spend the time go through my phone and tell you, but I'm not. But I mean, and just I don't know, like the fact that after talking to Chris from Mystic Reptiles when I bought the Solaire was kind of like, I think I'm gonna try and do that with my holdback animals that I have. Is I'm gonna try to just let them try and cycle on their own. Not like do the food cycling, not do like I'll still do my temperature stuff and everything, but like I'm not going to try to say, okay, you're 4, I'm going to start to feed you heavy so that you can breed. I'm just going to wait until they show the signs to do it.
Yeah. I'm sure you're still going to be offering meals though through that period that, you know, are leaving decent lumps and, you know, are going to, you know, at a mature age when that animal is ready, it will start cycling and showing, you know, follicle
Yeah,
development.
all of my meals for all of my snakes, no matter the age, leave a lump. Even my green tree pythons.
Yeah.
I feed bigger meals than most people do, and I do that for many reasons. But I also fluctuate. I'll feed smaller meals and bigger meals, but what most people would be afraid to feed a retic, I'm like, that's not a problem. Like it's easy. And I don't power feed by any means. I'm not feeding them a massive 3 times their girth meal every 2 weeks. Like, no, if they have a really big meal, they're set for the month.
I'm really curious. I got some chickens in the freezer that are huge, but I'm almost wondering if my anery can take it.
Chickens scare me because I had an incident with a female Solaire that I had before. She was a big girl. She was like 13 feet, and I fed her a large or extra large chicken from Rodent Pro. I don't remember. I think it was like a 4-pound chicken.
Mm-hmm.
And I had fed her a 4-pound and a 5-pound rabbit, right? So I was like, 4-pound chicken. Well, the cavity, the chest cavity, their breast, like it's so much wider. She ended up for 13 hours trying to swallow that animal and eventually gave up.
I think I remember this happening.
Yeah, I sent pictures to you.
Yeah.
I was terrified. I was there
Yeah.
watching her. I did not sleep at all that night.
Yep.
It was miserable, and so I'm scared. I'm scared to go big on the chickens.
I'll give it to my mainland buddy.
I'll go big on a rabbit. I'll go big on a pig anytime.
I'll give it. I have a couple mainland buddies here, so
Yeah. How big is
be
it?
calling them. It's big.
It's Don't do it. Don't do it. Man, I have some post traumatic stress symptoms after that shit. I'll never feed a big ass chicken again.
Well, and I haven't fed any type of bird quite yet. I'm going to be offering to one of my stubborn animals here soon. But my buddy who was talking to me about it, he's like, careful though. Like as soon as you start offering birds, they just are like crackheads for those things.
They do love them.
Yeah.
All of my snakes love. And as a matter of fact, shout out to Cold Blooded Cafe, who's not a sponsor yet, but we're going to work on that. Des.
Calling them out.
I am. But they had such a great deal. And I bought mostly, it's funny because I bought a shit ton. I don't even know the number. I bought a shit ton of chicks from them. And like literally the next day they made a post saying like, we're sold out of chicks. Sorry. And I was like, whoops. But yeah, I prefer chicks actually for hatchlings and up to a year old.
Just, yeah, it seems to get them excited a little bit more.
They
from what I've
love
heard.
that shit. And they get nice and big, but they also break it down really quickly. It's weird. But yeah, we're getting away from the topic, but I don't give a shit because it's our podcast.
Anything more on temperature cycling that you want to hit on?
Yeah, like if you want to give your female a break, here's another thing. Like
Just keep temperatures consistent.
keep temperatures consistent, but here's the thing. Let's say you can't control that the way you want to and your female decides to cycle.
Yeah, you
don't have to put a
environmental-
male.
That's
Like,
that's the
another
easy.
way,
That's
right?
the easiest. I mean, you can't always stop Partho, but I mean,
Trust me, I'm aware.
Yeah, certainly you can at least manage not putting a male in.
Right.
That's
just
the
don't
easiest
put a
way
male.
to stopping. To
And
breed.
if she decides to like put a power mood and be like, I don't need no man, like then let her go for it. Like whatever. That's not on you, but like just don't put a male in. Like you don't have to. If she's off of food, don't put a You don't have to. And I think that's the easiest way to be like, I'm gonna give you the year off. And then if she decides to do it herself, like good for her. Like my body, my choice, and she's gonna do what she's gonna do. Man, you're distracted. I thought that was gonna get a laugh out of you. That was a
I'm
great comedy
distracted
joke.
because you turned to Prince vibes, and I'm trying to match with my lights right now.
I was trying to find a color that didn't flicker, and this is working. So
For
no
right
more,
now.
no more orange. I'm going Prince.
For right now.
But man, that was a great, like that was
I'm
a
sorry.
good comedy punchline, but that's okay.
I'm sorry.
For those of you who haven't been watching for a while, Nathan and I are a fan of comedy, so we're terrible, but well, I'm terrible. Nathan's pretty good, but
About?
being funny. Example A.
If the moment presents itself, but I guess I missed your moment, and I deeply apologize.
That's okay. That's a good one. I was referencing snakes and females deciding to breed themselves without a man, and I was saying,
Well,
my
I got
body,
that
my
part.
choice.
Oh yeah, okay. I
which
like the
women,
first
it
part.
is
I
your
like
body,
the
your
first
choice.
part better.
Yeah, I
The
get
setup.
it. I get it.
I don't need no man.
But do you? I mean, we could. I mean, there's not too much more to talk about this other than like I think you should give your. Oh, I think it's rude of you that you didn't ask me what my ratio would be, of like years on, years off.
I just assume you think I'm so brilliant, and you go with my answer.
What did you even say? 2 to 1?
I said, yeah, I would like to do like ideal world 2 to 1. Like if
2
I'm
years on.
yeah, if I'm wanting to breed that female a lot, like yeah, 2 on, 1 off.
Yeah.
What would be your ratio, Lucas?
I'm so happy that you asked. My ratio would probably be 1 and 1.
I mean, that's what I've been at right now, and it's not been bad.
1 and 1. You could do 2 and 1, and I think the best part, like the most important part. Does this have battery? No, seeing if my other light had battery, but I think that the most important part is you have to know your snakes, and you have to. There you go. Yours looks like a sex dungeon.
It's a little intense.
But I think the most important part is knowing the body composition of your animal and what looks like, your some animals can recoup and recover from a breeding year very easy. For example, my Solaire laid, less than 2 months ago, and she looks incredible right now, and she's only had 3 meals. I probably still won't breed her next year, but she looks great. And so I think it's important that you just know, like it's part about growing with your animal, right? Like if you raise a hatchling to be, 4 or 5-year-old female, she breeds for the first time and you see her get big, and then you see her look like she's like on the verge of death after laying, because that's how a lot of females can look, is they're really skinny, their skin is flappy. If they bounce back really quick and you want to do a second year with them, great. But then give them that 3rd year off. And if they pull Partho and they do it on, that's again out of your control. But so 2 to 1, but ideally 1-1-1-1, I think would be good. And then I'm at the stage of my breeding with my Retics where when I start to do just the locality stuff, I'm only going to breed like 2 localities a year. And since I have 8 localities in my garage, I might have females that have like 3 years off.
Yeah. I don't think that's I mean, you'll see, I guess, if you decide to breed them down the line, how big of an issue that is.
Right.
If it's an issue at all.
Right. And I think that this year was a good trial. Like I finally was successful on getting a very stubborn female to not cycle. So I'll just really, really reduce the calories for 2-3 months during the time that they normally cycle.
Yeah.
Which for me is in between, like the heavy feeding time is like summertime leading up into fall. So during summer, just like don't feed them a lot. So June, July, August, and into September, small meals, very infrequent.
Now something that doesn't get talked about quite as often in, retic breeding is light cycling. Do you do any changes in your light cycling when you're breeding?
No, like before we started recording this episode, I went to go and like thaw out food, and I opened up my garage door at 10 p.m. and I was like, "Fuck! I didn't turn the garage light off." So I forget all the damn time. And as far as lights in their enclosures, I got bright 4K LEDs in my garage. That lights up the garage really well. And so when those lights are on and then the lights are off, it's pitch black in my garage because I don't have thermostats anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I don't have any blue lights. I don't have any LED lights. It's literally pitch black. So they know the difference just with that. Now I do for my green tree pythons, I do have, and then also with some of my retics, I'm running the VivTech products and that stuff. And so they do get some cycle, but, I don't light cycle. I know with green tree pythons, it's pretty big. A lot of people do light cycle, but I don't think I'll ever go. For me, it'll be food and temperature cycling.
Yeah, for me, and then
I don't have experience on light cycling. I am too ignorant to talk about that.
And then just while I was looking up stuff to talk about during this episode, something that came up, I think it's more myth than anything, but minimizing handling during the breeding season.
I actually do. And I know that you don't.
I don't. During the breeding season, I'm really doing maintenance handling with almost all my animals besides the grow up stuff.
Well,
every
yeah,
year.
So if I have a female cycling and she's looking bigger, I try to take her out much less frequently, and I'm still nervous about like just what might happen. So like if I have to take them out to clean, I try to I'll stack tubs, or if they're on the lower levels, I'll put the tub right in front, and I really try to entice them to go in the tub themselves. But then again, I have larger retics than you do. So, dragging out a 12-foot retic from its enclosure when it's gravid or building follicles, there's a lot of risk, in my opinion, involved with.
Well, I'm talking about keeping an animal from breeding. I'm not talking about an animal that's gravid.
Oh, no. Yeah, I mean, not gravid or not building follicles either. No, I'm not limiting handling at all. I mean, I'm just going to go about my normal activity.
Yeah, but I just came across, I think it's more myth than anything, but limiting handling to, potentially stop the animal from trying to cycle on its own.
Oh, that's interesting.
Triggering breeding behaviors because of handling.
Yeah, because they totally want to breed with us. Well, actually, my wild-caught male Kalatoa just spurred my arm a month ago.
It's a theory. I mean, the males definitely, from every experience I've heard from retic breeders, are able to differentiate a male keeper from a female keeper during breeding seasons. So
I guess my male wildcat's bisexual. Bro, he came at me. He was arching.
We know Alessa's story, so.
Well, that's true, and I will say that I've seen with my own eyes retics act differently with males and females, with a male retic involved. But yeah, my male, it was the first time it's ever happened to me. Glenn sent me that wild-caught male because he had to move to Florida.
Oh, it's because it came from Glenn.
Yeah, there you go. But no, I took him out, and when I was trying to take him out, he was arching. So I was like, okay, now I got to be careful.
Oh, it was just your garage.
Right. So I took him out, right, and I put him in the tub. But then when I got him out of the tub, he didn't go back in his cage, in his enclosure, not cage. Jordan Hart. Jordan would be pissed right now.
That's why I'm laughing.
Right. But so he wouldn't go back in. And so I was like, okay, I don't want to piss him off because he's obviously in breeding mode and he's a wild caught animal and I haven't had him for too long. So I'm kind of just moving with him around and everything. And all of a sudden I feel a tickle on my arm, like right here on my forearm. I can still feel it if I think about it, right here on my forearm. And I look and he's spurring me and I was like, you freaking pervert. So that's when I started.
He probably just smelled one of the ladies in the garage that.
It's actually the two females below him are cycling. So.
Oh yeah, so it's just always on his brain.
Yeah.
Didn't matter what he was wrapped around. He was probably gonna spur it.
No, but it was weird, man, because he was doing that and he was moving his tail in a coil up and down my forearm, and it was, I was sexually assaulted, dude.
You feel it a lot with boas. So I when I had my boa, I used to feel his spurs all the time. They weren't tickling me like I know the retics will do. So I'm sure that was an experience to be had.
It pinched. Now I know why my females like, they
Stop.
whip up and
Stop.
they buck males. Like I now know why, because it pinches.
Just get where you need to go and stop.
Right, exactly. All
So
right.
yeah, that was just kind of a fun thing that I came across. I'm not too sure if there's much merit to that. That one person who comments the long comments, maybe they have something on that for us.
Right. Right. That'd be cool. All right. I think we've about egged this out as much as we can. I don't even know if that's a real saying, egg this out. But
We've dragged this as far as we can. I do think like it's cool that we got to put out some content that I wasn't able to find on YouTube, and just some stuff I think is important. So,
right. No, I agree. All right, guys. Again, if you guys aren't subscribed and you've
get on the
listened,
Patreon first of all. Our Discord is fun.
right? Yeah, actually had a blast over the last couple days. And
Everyone comparing their turkeys. I thought that was fun.
right, and what's also crazy about our Patreon too is if you keep a lot of species, it's dangerous, because we have a lot of people who keep other species out there posting their productions, and I somehow now like corn snakes. So thanks, Discard.
Bro, I got to, before we go, I got to experience bromeliad boas.
Right.
Really rare boas. They're super tiny and the most like spazzy creatures ever. When they are like a little threatened, they'll stiffen up like a stick and kind of like throw themselves around. But like super not inclined to bite. Really black and silver, really cool animals. And they kind of they have like very like mini anaconda heads.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you want to see pictures of those, go join the Discord through the Patreon, and
they
you can see what I'm talking about.
Stiffen up like a stick.
Yeah, it's just one of the weirdest animals, but really rare to see in captivity right now.
Is that another ad for hymns.com?
We're not sponsored by Blue Chew yet. We're calling you out, Blue Chew. We'll see you next week.
See you, everyone.